We are going to go over this letter of intent to make sure that you understand it fully before you sign it. And to start, this first paragraph here is simply stating that the purchaser is buying cutting-edge computer repair from you, the seller, and that the agreement is binding, just a normal agreement of selling a business. Now, number one that you see here is purchase assets, which is anything that you've purchased for the company, like computers, repair tools. Also, any and all contracts at the time of the sale becomes the buyer's responsibility, and they receive all of that with the business. Number two here is your assumed liabilities, which would include any contracted workers already in place, insurance policies, any customer contracts that are ongoing, and the buyer is required to perform all duties per the contracts that are already set in place. Number three is pretty self-explanatory. It's just stating that what the purchase price will be, and that it's payable in cash immediately on the closing date. Number four is regarding pre-closing covenants, which basically means any job you've already contracted must be performed by the buyer of the company to ensure compliance with those contracts and to keep business relationships together. And then we have number five here, which obligates the buyer to obtain any licenses to run the business itself. Number six states that you as a seller will provide all the information of the company to the buyers to ensure the business is being run properly and that they understand how to do so. Number seven has to do with confidentiality and non-competition, and this just ensures that the buyer will keep all company business confidential unless there are pieces of information that are necessary to carry out a previous agreement or any business in general. They are required to keep it confidential, and neither party can compete with the other. And we have number eight, which is employees of the business. And this is in place in case the buyer fails to pursue the obligations that we spoke about in number five. And they're not allowed to request anything from your employees if they fail to go through with their obligations as set forth in this letter. Number nine that we have here has to do with exclusive dealing, and it basically just sets out a time frame that you as the seller are prohibited from entering into any business that might compete with the buyer, and that you're agreeing to sell all products and services related to the business to that buyer. Number 10 states that any announcement regarding the new ownership or your departure from cutting edge computer repair will be agreed on, and you'll prepare it together. So if you're planning to say hi to your customers and say, look, I'm selling the company for whatever reason, these people will be the new buyers, you have to sit down with the buyers and you both have to figure out a way to address the issue together, and you both have to be in agreement. Number 11 states that both you and the buyers are responsible for his or her own fees related to the business transaction, which includes legal fees, anything incurred with transferring the business from you to the buyers. And number 12 basically keeps you as a buyer safe from any liability and any unforeseen costs once the company is sold. All of that liability will be on the buyer, and they're kind of taking over the liability of the company from you, so they can't come back in the future and say, oh, well, you need to pay for this because that was your liability when you sold me the company. So it's basically an insurance policy for you. And then here it's just stating if you're in agreements with everything, you're going to sign it, return a copy to the buyers, and then we'll put a date on it for when the transaction will take place, when they will have the money due to you, and all of that. And then you just sign, and that's all.